Today's guest is Jennifer Maher, who is a soulful prosperity coach. She has come life's toughest challenges from overcoming addiction, street life to significant business setbacks and huge financial losses, and has turned all of these into lessons of resilience and growth. And she is determined to share these with anyone who yearns for more. She's committed to empowering over 1 million high achievers by the next leap year. And basically, Jennifer demonstrates that true prosperity is achieved through purposeful action and alignment with one's core values. So, Jennifer, thank you very much for being on. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for asking, because nobody usually asks how I'm doing on these. So I appreciate you actually asking.
Of
Um,
course.
yeah, so I'd love to like again, I think your story just from reading the intro, I think warrants its own like podcast episode because just from like the bite
Oh
size,
God,
like this is like sounds like a movie in the making.
yeah.
So I know I can't spend the whole time like interviewing you just on that, but if you want to just add to the intro and just tell us a little bit more context on who you are, how you got to doing what you're doing, floor is open for that. So
Yeah. So when I got off the streets basically in my very late 20s, I got into the real estate industry and I had a really great successful career for about 28 years. And then that kind of blew up a few years ago. Um, So I have 28 years of real estate experience, and I also founded my local business council, my county business council, Putnam County Business Council, and founded a whole bunch of other organizations throughout my career. So I kind of was coaching. And then for the last like 10 years of my real estate career, I was coaching, recruiting, training, mentoring realtors on a regular basis. And then through the pandemic, I immediately went to work when everybody freaked out. I was helping businesses all day long figure out, how to function, how to navigate the gray, as I called it, and how to, shift and do what they needed to do. And that's when I really realized, like, this is what makes me come alive. This is what my calling is. This is my purpose. And then I sort of brought together my very deep spiritual practice and world that's really important to me. I'm an ordained Buddhist priest and, did that like 15 years ago and helping people and then bringing it all together. And that's where I'm at today.
love it. So it's like this colorful tapestry of like life experiences bringing you into like, okay, well, if I mesh all of that together, this
It's
coaching
who
thing
I
lights
am.
me up alive. So yeah, I totally understand that weaving path of life that's like, okay, well, now I can take this foundation of experiences and then apply it 10 million different ways to help other people. So yeah, I get that from top to bottom. Okay, perfect. So being that you're a coach, right, you're always supporting other people, and the whole premise of this is for me to support you. So I'd love to kind of segue and dive into that. And I know when we like when you initially applied to be here, right, like one of the questions is like, okay, well, what can I essentially help you with? So I'll read that back to you, and then we can kind of
Mhm.
dive into, okay, well, what's currently present for you, and then that'll lead us, where it needs to go. So one of the things you mentioned in your intake form was, okay, I want to, like, one of the biggest challenges I'm having is avoiding hustle mode and relying on sweat equity. Okay. So tell me what that means and why that keeps you, as you say here, like not staying tapped into your highest version of yourself. Like, tell me more about that.
So it's a struggle. I I kind of avoided um, building my business in the way that I know how to best for up until about a month ago, to be honest with you, because I stepped out of that hustle world of always prospecting and even though I was in leadership in real estate for the last 5 years, maybe you're prospecting agents, right? Agents that can come on board and then helping them grow. It's the same thing but different client. So I really was trying to do it through social media, but yet I don't want to be on social media, just trying to figure all that out. And I've come full circle and I've done a really good job of building out my business digitally. And now I have been going back and building my business through my sphere, but have managed to do this without this like I don't want to go back into measuring KPLs all the time and KPIs. I was calling the wrong thing. And just following numbers strictly. I want to be able to go by intuition. I want to be able to spend a lot of my days just becoming a better coach. Does that make sense?
It does in terms of intention. Like, okay, there's a part of me that wants to better in terms of how I show up, the quality of work that I produce, like the my skills in terms of being able to help other people. 110%, that makes sense. Um, what I'm trying to figure out though is okay, so why is that an antithesis to, KPIs, prospecting, etc.? Like they can work
It
in
is.
parallel. So
It was,
what's
I think it was a block, that I had. And, I spoke to you before we got on about the integration, right, of your worlds. And I think that was a part of it, right? So, coaching is a business,
Mhm.
just like any other business. And so you have to have that arm of knowing how many clients do I need to be profitable and how much, can I be here and how much can I spend over here and, where should I be investing? And I think I resisted that. I think I resisted that. And I think I resisted it for just the right amount of time. I also had a lot of healing to do. It was an intense situation coupled by a bunch of other stuff going on in my personal life. Um, so I think it's resistance. It's fear.
Okay. So when you're speaking about this, and this could even be my own context, so correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're speaking about this, you're speaking about it in past tense, right? Like I resisted this, but now I kind of don't.
Yeah,
So,
because like in the last month, I've come, you know, uh, I have a set amount of number of people I need to prospect with a week. I have a set amount of number of, these things I can do.
okay,
I'm
so you've
measured.
made peace with the fact that I still need a lead flow. I still need a pipeline that's
Yeah,
active in order for me to actually do the things that I want to do to coach more people. Like it does require the same selling skills I had before.
yes. And
Okay.
then all of that will sort of boost and make the social media efforts better. Unless you just want to spend all this money on ads and just not even get to pick and choose who you do business with, which is not how I've ever done business.
Right. So that all makes sense and kind of like congratulations. But then what's like it doesn't sound to me like you have a problem right now. So what is actually challenging for you right now?
Well, getting in the clients, right? So it's I had to overcome everybody knowing me as a real estate professional.
Hmm.
I had to overcome a lot of, damaging rumors to my reputation, a lot of mindset issues. And so I paid two people full time for 2 years, which is probably was and still am, to help build out all of these things digitally and while avoiding prospecting.
Right. Okay. So again, you're on the end like okay, right now, I guess you have systems where you're prospecting and like there's a lead flow of
They're brand
people
new. Yep.
coming in. Okay, perfect. So again, that's not really like a problem then. That seems like a great solution and congratulations. So what actually then is a problem for you right now?
I don't know. I don't have the money yet. It's not flowing in, right? So maybe that's
Okay.
not where you solve problems. Maybe, I mean, it has. I had certain clients. I did, broke six figures in my first year, which I was pretty happy of. I know a lot of coaches, and honestly, a lot that I know never even got to six figures. That's nowhere near where um, uh, if I want to be in my best space, not worried about bills or my children or anybody else, I would like to get to a lot more than that so that I am not worried about paying bills and I'm not worried about if this happens or if that happens. So it needs to get to a much higher level. And so I don't know where
Okay.
that
So then
that
if I'm just reflecting that back, so I resisted the fact that I needed to prospect and fill a pipeline
hmm
because I just wanted to coach. And then there was a part of me
yeah.
that assumed, like, okay, well, this is more of a pure offering. It's much less subjective. I'm helping people. So therefore, I don't need to worry about the stress of prospecting. Then the
hmm
reality hits, and it's like, okay, well, in order to do my gift, I have to do the job of actually prospecting and getting
Yes.
people in. And
hmm
then you did the appropriate steps to do that, hit six figures. Okay, congratulations. And now it's like, okay, well, what I really want is multiple six figures.
Yes.
And for some reason, the things that I'm doing aren't yielding that.
Yeah. So in December, the end of the year, I realized that the clients that I were taking on had too much of a physical demand, too much of, even though I would, and that was it too. Like I'm sending out a contract. Here's my thing. My magical power is getting shit done. Like I'm a roll up your sleeves kind of woman. So when I get involved with your business, I'm all in. That's not a profitable business model, and it is not a business model that can get to over 1 million people by the next leap year if I'm spending 40 hours on one client and not charging accordingly.
Okay, so now we have, I'm not charging accordingly. The business model that I have is not aligned with the overall vision that I want.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna take a moment to write these down. And then while I'm doing that, like I want you to think, okay, like is this something that's like a new realization for you? Or have I always known this? Like where are you at with all that?
No, it was a realization in December. So, that was a year and a half in. And proud and was grateful and happy, and the clients were successful, and I did a great job as a coach and really built up their profit, helped them to build lives that nourish their souls and reprioritize and create space and freedom and more joy, but not on a scale that does that for me. And so once it stops doing that for you, you can't do it for other people. And so I think that's kind of where I'm I'm stuck in the moment, and that
You're
transition.
basically doing way too much for the amount you're
Yeah.
getting paid and the clients that you're serving.
Yes. And
Okay.
like,
So if you've
you
been
know,
aware of that since December, right? So that's close to 6 months now. Why haven't you upped your prices?
well, I think my prices were always right. I just gave 5 times more than I should have. But
Okay.
I
So,
but
I
I
mean, that's the
think
same question, just
it
in different,
is. You're right,
right?
right? So I could take on the same client, right? But those
And okay, but
clients,
just I'm gonna lovingly interrupt you there,
yeah.
right? Because if you look at the language that your brain is defaulting to,
Yes,
well, the
tell me.
price is right, but my brain just over delivers.
Yes.
So is the price actually right for the delivery, or do you feel like I need to overburden and over deliver to justify even whatever the price is?
Yeah, that's probably the problem.
Okay, so then is the price actually right?
No.
Okay.
And that
So,
means the clients aren't right either.
well, maybe, but I'm always like, let's own 100% of our 50%
Mhm,
first.
mhm.
So before the clients are like, is anybody ever going to vouch for your value more than yourself?
No.
No. So why would the clients be wrong if a part of you is like, well, you know what? Let me just over deliver by 10x beyond scope, because then maybe somehow, some way they will appreciate that and maybe give me 10x more money.
Yeah. And the other part is and you just helped me to discover this, is also it's the contractual agreement holding them accountable to how they are supposed to show up. And
So
I
meaning
can't
like
make
they
up
don't,
the difference. I would make up the difference?
okay, so whatever they don't do, you do for them. So now you're
Yes.
basically enabling
Yeah.
their disempowerment.
Yes. And that stopped. Like I definitely
Okay.
came to that
So
realization.
right now you're also rescuing clients.
Yeah,
Right.
I've done.
Okay.
This is a
So,
lifelong pattern for me, and like in figuring it out is going to be a real good sweet spot to be able to, but um, it's not good for me. It's not good
okay.
for the clients either because it won't last forever.
Well, if you are robbing them of the experience to find their own power,
Hmm.
you aren't actually coaching them, you're rescuing them.
Right.
And there's a part of you that needs to rescue other people for you to be okay.
Absolutely. That is the
Okay.
biggest pattern of my life.
Okay. So to me, I put that under the umbrella of people pleasing. And it's a big umbrella that can house a lot of things. But I just want it, as far as just terminology, like does that land for you? Or would you prefer a different
Absolutely.
word? It
Absolutely.
does.
And that
Okay.
was one of the biggest patterns I unearthed in the last 3 years, personally and professionally.
Okay. So that's a big one because now that umbrella pattern of people pleasing is causing you to overwork given how much you actually charge.
Hmm.
You way deliver beyond scope. So this is not like I over deliver for, bonuses. This is like I go way beyond the scope to the point where I'm net negative myself in terms of workload, etc.
Yep.
I try and rescue clients that I shouldn't be rescuing, which means you will also accept clients that need rescuing instead of being firm in your own accountability and being like, hey, you need to own your piece of it
Yeah.
here.
Hmm.
And then this was all wrapped up in this pretty bow of, well, I'm actually charging the right prices, but maybe I should just get better clients, right?
Yes.
And listen, we are always the easiest person to lie to, but do you see how this one pattern of people pleasing suddenly ripples into basically a six-figure problem? Because everything
Hmm.
you're describing could be potentially an extra 100K if you charge accordingly or charge according to scope. Like, does that land for you or no?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So is this something that's new for you? It's not new for you? Where are you at in terms of awareness around this?
I'm acutely aware of it, and that's why at the end of December, I parted ways with several of these clients in a good way. Like they're 6 month, like it's a 6 month thing, but could have continued. And I felt it better to leave on the high notes and sort of
And okay, so
repurpose.
just when you say I left, meaning like we finished our contract,
We
okay, I
we
can't do
parted
it
ways,
anymore.
right,
Yeah,
on
okay.
good notes with those
Okay. So I'm
clients.
going to challenge that as well. Not that
Mhm.
you obviously you left on good
Yeah,
note, that it's a beautiful thing, and I like that you honored whatever you honored.
of course.
What I mean more to say here is because the original question was, okay, so how long have you been aware of this? It said, oh, this is like a lifelong pattern. And over the last 6 months, it became really clear, but I did something about it. And to me, when you're describing that, if I'm holding the mirror to it, I'm like, okay, all you did was take the step towards relief, meaning I parted ways from the people that were like driving this. But it's like at the same time, I also was aware that I was undercharging. I didn't really do anything there. I was aware that I was giving more. So why would that anything change there for the next client? So again, our brain is always going to be the first one to lie to us. And it's like the relief of a problem doesn't actually take away our contribution or enabling of it.
Oh, I agree.
So what lands for you there?
Um, well, I have spent the last 6 months working on being able to have stronger, more difficult conversations when need be, and making sure my contracts are actually read, signed, understood, and that level of expectation that that they have to bring to the table in order to have lasting success.
Mhm.
L- you know um I've made that clear, and yeah, I think that's about it on
Okay.
that.
So I've made active steps to improve my communication
Hmm.
and I have made my contracts more like tight.
Yes.
Okay. And what was the result of those actions?
um Well, I'm still waiting for a couple of new clients. Like, so I haven't had a million new clients since then. I've had two, and so far, so good.
Okay, perfect. So let's just say trending in the right direction, but we don't have enough.
Trending in the right
Yeah.
direction.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Do you think changes like that will actually get you multiple six figures?
Mm, I think changes like that and being very specific with the kind of clients that I want to work with, but then once I am working with, have the opportunity to speak with them, um, to maintain my side, right? The accountability, the expectations. Um,
Hmm. Okay, so what you described is basically a refined process of accountability with your clients. But the original question was, do you think this is going to get you multiple six figures?
I think I don't see why it wouldn't.
Okay, perfect. So how would having stronger conversations and having tighter contracts get you your next 100K?
Because I can work with more people. I'll have a lot more freedom and not feel, overburdened. I'm
Okay.
also doing more
So
things.
even if we pause right there,
Yeah,
was your overburden and your overwhelm the result of a poor contract, or was it due to you not refereeing the scope?
both.
Okay. So yes, both. And what's the source of it?
Well, if I was refereeing, it wouldn't matter what the contract said. So, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, no, I get that.
Okay. Which is important, right? Because again, we're going back to the like our brain, like will always be the first one it manipulates, right? It's just like how we started with like your brain was like, oh yeah, price is great. It's just these other things,
No, I totally
right?
get it.
And now it's like, okay, well, yeah, like if I tighten up my contracts, this will get me my next six figures, regardless of the fact that,
No, I understand. The the
okay,
the the tightening of the contract is more of like the script, right? So that
yeah,
you have this to go back and default to, but you have to, I know I need to embody it and I need to,
okay,
um,
perfect. So yeah,
it,
that's where I was getting at,
yeah,
right?
no, no, no,
Yeah.
1,000%. Yeah.
Okay. So I think
And
basically it's like if we're gonna make it explicit, like, do you think you have a, fulfillment strategy problem, or do you have a people pleasing problem that's creating problems
yeah,
inside of your
I
business?
have a people please. Listen, Josco, you know what is that? Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Josco?
yeah, yeah, that's fine.
I got this pattern is so deep that if you ask, like, I'm really well known in my community, if you ask anybody if Jennifer Maher is a people pleaser, they would say absolutely not, because I'm known as like tough, blunt, direct, no nonsense, no bullshit, no. It was so like in I can't even explain it, but yeah, and then when it started to unfold, I mean, that's what happened with my business partnership. I over delivered and blah blah blah. Um, my marriage, there's a lot of breakage from the unearthing of this pattern. It's deep. It runs really really deep, and it comes from, a lot of trauma, um, a lot of, ancestral issues, things that I have inherited just from a long, long line of dysfunctional Irish people, and a lot of stuff. But yeah, no, I know that it's me.
Okay. And I don't mean this in like a judgmental way, like, oh, it's like this. It's just
Oh,
people pleasing in leadership. Like literally, I just talked to somebody who signed up to work with me on the exact same thing today. It's like that always ends up being the bottleneck that ripples into business problems that somebody has to solve in some sort of way, usually the owner, right? So I'm just
yeah,
more normalizing your experience in
no,
how common this
absolutely,
actually
and
is.
yeah, and it's going to be being 53 and unearthing this pattern. and reversing it and finding a new strength on the other side is all what being a coach is about, right? Because there's so many people out there with the same pattern, who maybe they're younger and they learn it now, but it was so entrenched. Like I said,
Yeah.
nobody in my family, anybody would ever say Jennifer's a people pleaser.
Okay. So who would you be if you lost the ability to people please?
Who would I be if I lost the ability? Well, I know the answer to that now, but I did not know it the rest of my life.
Okay. So what would that answer be?
I like to believe that I am a way shower and I am here to help people level up to the best version of themselves. I just don't need to do it at my detriment.
Okay.
And helping people to become the best version of themselves is accountability.
Okay. So I mean that's a beautiful sounding answer.
Hmm.
And you could still be a complete people pleaser and still be here on this planet to be a way shower and help people level up.
Hmm.
So the question was, who would you be without this? Who would you be without these people pleasing patterns?
An even better coach. I don't know what answer you're looking for because I feel like I'm out of the people pleasing patterns in the current moment. I don't think I've changed tremendously as a result of this realization. Um, and I think I
Okay.
know the answer of who
So
am I and why am I here. So I'm not sure what answer you're looking
yeah,
for.
and that's fair. So okay, so you mentioned number one. Okay, I feel like I don't suffer with people pleasing, like these people pleasing patterns, etc. I feel like I've overcome them, correct?
I am overcoming them.
Overcoming
I
them. Okay,
yeah, I can see, you know,
perfect.
when you
So
learn to set boundaries, sometimes and the thing about being a people pleaser, which is such a weird thing to call myself, but the thing about being a people pleaser is you're usually the one that screws up the boundaries. It's not the
correct,
other people. Yeah.
correct. They get
Yeah.
into relationship with whatever you enable, and whatever
Yes.
you
And
enable
then it
is what they
becomes
get
the
into relationship with.
expectation and yeah, so yeah.
Correct.
Um,
So
so it can take time to,
it
uh,
can.
yeah, and, but I don't feel, I don't, I, I don't think I'm very much different. I think the outcomes will be different, but I don't feel like I am very much different.
Okay. So if you don't feel like you're different, then why would the outcomes be any different?
Well, I think because I've gotten over that need. So even though I'm not over the habits take a little time. Gotta have new algorithms, new everything.
Okay.
But I'm over the need. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid that if I don't do this, someone's not going to work with me. I'm not
Okay.
afraid that I'm not as good of a coach is if I'm not overextending myself. I'm not afraid that if I don't do everything and take care of everything and this and that someone's not going to see my value. I'm sure there's somewhere in it, which is where I feel you're going because, with what I offer and what I could do for people, I should be way, and I don't like the word should. I have the opportunity and I'm doing something to block it. I have it's there for me and I am doing something to block it. I understand that and I agree wholeheartedly. I feel like
Okay.
that's where so yeah.
So
So
yes and no.
but I am at a place where I do not need that but I may not always recognize it because of these built-in response patterns and habits.
Got it. Okay. And I agree with you. The not needing it, like that's a big first step. So yeah,
Yep.
100%. I agree with you on that. Now you mentioned, okay, but the habit is still there. Like the habit to do the thing that I've done, to do the people pleasing thing that I've done is still kind of there. I haven't fully completed that arc. So how do you define habit?
So habit is habit energy, and it's when you are kind of on autopilot and you're not completely mindful and you're not in
Okay.
your seat of consciousness, and this habit energy takes over and starts making decisions and
Okay.
things of that
So
nature.
basically, whatever I do by default.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like this is something that I don't need to contend with. I've let go of the need to be whatever, liked, appreciated, etc., to need to overgive. Yet I still default to acting in a way that's aligned with my old self. So it's kind of
No,
like which
I
one is
didn't say
true?
that. I said that's the description of it. I didn't say I still default to it. I said it can still.
Okay, but your words were like, I still have the habit of it. So I was trying to like get an idea of like what is the definition of habit and how does that?
Right, but the habit doesn't mean you act on it. The habit means you now. I mean, the habit if you're acting on it. But if you can recognize, oh, there you are, habit energy. I
Mhm.
see you, I feel you, and I am not going that way. We are doing this. And
Okay.
that is the space that I am at. And I'm saying it's not probably perfect. And I don't have enough new clients, but I can tell you in my family life, uh, because some of the clients I've had have been with me for a while and it's a different scenario.
Hmm.
And so it'll really tell with these next couple of clients that I onboard and how that process goes. But I feel like I'm able to recognize the habit energy
Hmm.
and pause and go a different direction. But
Okay.
I'm
Perfect.
aware that it's still new and it's
Hmm.
50 something years
Yeah.
of that habit energy that really came more into life, you know, in my 30s because I really was so ashamed of all that I had been through, um, and that I felt like I had to prove that I wasn't that person. And if I did everything for everyone, they would always love me, never leave me, and pay me lots of money, right?
Right. So then I guess if you're saying, okay, well, I'm kind of part in, part out. So how is people pleasing actually a problem for you right now in your business?
Um, it can be a little bit of a problem with my staff at times.
Hmm.
But again, I think it remains to be seen. I feel like I have kind of turned a corner with that. And I burned the boats in a sense, because it was income that technically I needed. I went through a lot financially, but I had the courage to make changes, knowing it would probably mean a little lull in income. And I feel good about it and I feel pretty strong. So, um, I feel like that's one that I'm going to be able to get through.
Okay. So that it's not really a problem for you.
Well, it's been a problem though, yes.
Okay. But in terms of like, because like right now, it seems like you're on the cusp end of moving
I
out of.
think so. I
Okay.
think so.
Perfect. So then really what is the problem? Because it's like, again, now the pattern is I talk about problems that aren't really actually problems. And the only problem I have is I don't have enough clients. So
Mhm.
what's the actual problem in your words?
Well, then I guess if it's not enough clients, then it's not enough clients, right?
Okay. And you also mentioned, okay, well, I feel like there's like a block in there somewhere. So what, like, what is your intuitive sense of like what that block actually is?
Um, there's probably still some like self, limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I would imagine that that's probably what it is.
I mean, I don't, you tell me, right? Because it doesn't sound too convincing. It's like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. There's probably something in there.
Well, this is what I said. I'm like, when we started this, it's like I'm actually in a really good place, the best place um I've ever been. I have a lot of clarity. I have I know what I can do for people. I've done it for people and I can do it again and will do it again many times. So I don't know what the disconnect is.
Got it. Okay. So for you, this is like going from good to great. Like it's not necessarily I gotta solve a
Yeah.
problem. It's going from like, okay, I'm good at six figures. What I really like is multiple six figures.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Which honestly, if you feel you're a way shower and you feel you have this responsibility to help people get into a place where, they're living and building, not by default, a life and a career that nourishes your soul, like I said, you need to, and I'm not talking about, my goal is not to like have like yachts and whatever. My goal is to be able to be on the beach for 3 weeks working deeply, you know, training my mind and being able to do a retreat, doing the things that will help other people as well.
Right.
Not so
So
um
then why haven't you been able to create more than you've created thus far?
well, one, because I spent 18 months running around like a chicken without a head with those few clients.
Okay.
That's it. And so this started in January. So I don't know that I would say 6 months of a new, I just started picking up the phone and networking and doing all that like 2 months ago. So um if that's not changed in within 2 3 months, then yeah, I think there's a real problem. So of course I would like it to be much further ahead. So I don't know.
That's okay. No, it's listen, at the end of the day, it's like if there's no problem to solve, then there's no problem to solve.
I don't know. I don't want
Mhm.
to be that person either because like I said, I came on here like I am coachable. Um Absolutely. I fully recognize the people pleasing portion of all of this. Um I think I might have been, disillusioned too to like this whole like just becoming a coach, putting it out online and like, lead funnels and they're going to come in and I spent a lot of time in that,
Mhm.
which I think wasn't a complete waste because now when I speak to people in person, they're literally like, "Oh my God, I saw you did this, I saw that, I saw this," and it's really valid. You go to the website, you go to the social media handles, and um,
Well,
it looks
110%, it's something you clearly did and did pretty well because like you said, there's a lot of coaches that don't hit six figures.
right,
So even just to
right,
kind of like hit that milestone is not something to be discounted. Like that is
right.
definitely a big milestone to hit. What I'm, I guess, reflecting back to you is really the big overall question, which is like, okay, are the patterns that I thought I have dealt with and overcome actually completely dealt with and overcome as they relate to my business specifically? Or have they been dealt in, let's just say, other areas of my life, such as relationships, right? Because even like very simple example of how we kind of started this whole conversation, like the whole 6 months worth of, okay, well, I realized I was undercharging in December, haven't really made much updates on that in the last 6 months. Yes, I tightened up
Yeah.
my contract. Yes, I've done this, but it's like, okay, the fundamental representation of your people pleasing pattern inside of your business is the undercharging. Because by definition of it, it means I'm over giving, which is the whole people pleasing pattern. And that's
Hmm.
wrapped up in the price. So if like the fundal representation of my people pleasing pattern I knew about for the past 6 months, but I haven't actually done anything around that. I've skirted around areas of it. Then it's like, okay, well, to what degree am I actually deeply, viscerally honest about what the actual problem is? Okay. So what lands for you with that?
Well, I don't want to use it as an excuse, but also part of what happened in December was my realization that I needed to get out of my marriage. So that happened in January. And at the same time that that happened, my daughter left her husband, and they moved in, my granddaughter and my daughter. And I've also been away out of the country for 6 weeks, which has nothing to do with anything because I worked pretty much the whole time. Um, so I don't know. I have to have more of that onboarding of new clients and start and watch the patterns and see where I struggle to have a difficult conversation. Um, I have an existing client that is contract would be renewing June 15th. I'm meeting with him Wednesday, so that'll be a really big test.
Yeah.
I
So,
was honest with him throughout the last 6 months that I undercharged, but there's more issues than just that. It's holding him accountable and
okay.
all
So
of these
what are you going to do differently?
business owners. I'm gonna be transparent with where I think things have went wrong, and I'm gonna set the standards of, if we want to continue working together, then here's the expectations. I'm gonna lay it out, right? Like I
Okay.
didn't do it.
Good.
And it's so funny because it's very similar to training agents, and they'd be like, working with buyers and it's showing them houses for 7 months, and this happens and that happens. I was like, because you didn't do a buyer consultation, you didn't set the expectations, you didn't take control of the relationship. Like, so it's the same thing, right? It's like you can get a signature and a payment, and that doesn't mean you won. If you don't set those standards correctly. So that's what I had to do. It's like I have to redo what I didn't do.
Right. Well, it's again that whole idea, like you actually know what you need to do, but there are these parts inside of you that hesitate implementing that.
Yes. And then I have really gotten really good at recognizing when I'm making a decision out of financial fear or financial insecurity, or because that's not going to work. Because I can't make the money I need to make if I have clients that I'm over giving to. And then I'm never going to hit my, over 1 million people mark. Because that's really, to me, the earning, the earning um is a product of doing what I love to do and what I get to do, right? But at the same time, I have a lot of people that depend on me. So I can't do that without that. It's like a,
Correct.
cyclical
Well,
thing.
I mean, people pleasing by default is rooted in scarcity, right? Because the whole thing is based off, I'm going to lose
Yes,
something.
absolutely.
So I think
Absolutely.
that's what's reflected inside of your business because I'm
Listen,
not discounting your circumstantial needs to like provide that. That's a beautiful thing,
no, yeah,
but
of
it's just,
course.
it's rooted in scarcity, the whole pattern.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you'll laugh at me, but I spent like October, November, and December torturing myself with this Kundalini root chakra routine, but it really helped. I'm not even kidding. Like it helped so much. Like just focusing on the foundations, the basic needs. And I really went back and like, okay, am I breathing properly? Am I filling myself with nutrition? Am I, focusing in my mind? Am I, doing all those things? Because I know, and it's obvious. I mean, fuck, most people wouldn't even be alive after what I lived through, and that's like in segments. It's not even just the addiction and being on the streets. Like I have a lot, and so of course, and then also I mean, I have crazy survival skills, and it's hard because they got me so far and got me great levels of success that most people would never have gotten to, but yet they are the things that are holding me back.
Correct. Because everything you're describing about your future, I want to be on the beach. I want to live, essentially in my dharma. Like I want to be a way shower. I want to do all of those things. They are all rooted in thriving, not surviving. You hit
Mhm,
the epitome of success from an energy of surviving, which
mhm.
you could also argue is why it also collapsed in the end, right?
Yeah, I call it my shadow why.
Correct, right? So the gap for you now is I'm completely unfamiliar with what it feels like to actually succeed from a place of thriving, from a place of
Yes.
peace, from a place of that's not rooted in all of the
Yes.
things that work really well in traumatic times, but now only sabotage the next level of my being.
And you know what? Sometimes I'm afraid, and this is where I get confused because I am a really good business coach. Like it's really weird. I can walk into a law office, I can walk into a healthcare, I can walk, and I don't know where this came from, and just kind of like boom, get them making a lot more money, everybody more happy, improving the culture, and doing all of this. But when I make that shift, am I still a business coach? What kind of coach am I? Right? Like it's a lot of this is also identity crisis because I'm flying the plane while building it and discovering who I am. And I also want to make sure that I am in integrity and making sure that when I take on a client that I'm going to be able to fulfill my needs.
Correct. And that's exactly what this is, right? Like, I know we don't always want to hear it, but identity is a perfect reflection of our results. Like
Mm,
your identity right now is a perfect reflection of a six-figure hustler who
yes, I
knows
don't
how to make that.
do
But
it.
where my identity wants to go is fulfillment, peace, joy, abundance, and also serving people at the highest level of my zone of genius.
Yes.
That's a six-figure gap in terms of representational money, but it's a lot of shadow work to heal the surviving
Hmm.
patterns that work for you in the past but no longer work for you now. So there's that part land for you.
Yeah. 2 years of shadow work, two certifications, three different courses, because it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a
And
lot.
there's no need to discount what you did in the past to get to this point. It's
Oh,
just the next level of my business requires an up leveling of my identity to
yes.
match that level of business, right? So the
Yes.
people pleasing, the limiting beliefs, bit of like the unworthiness and shame that I'm assuming is also there. We didn't get to it explicitly today.
Oh God,
All of
yeah.
those pieces are going to basically create like the undercharging, the overworking, the overstress,
Yeah.
and keep you from that kind of more aligned business.
Yeah. And I'm really grateful because, the business explosion, it really was the universe saying, first of all, you've outgrown this partner. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're afraid to leave, blah, blah, blah. Boom, we're just going to blow it up for you. And I'm like, thanks.
Yeah. When we
And
don't listen to the whisper, then we got to listen
yes,
to the
yeah, yeah,
scream.
we're
Yeah.
just gonna
I
we're gonna
get
blow
it. Yeah.
it up. And then, I kind of forgot what I was gonna say, but it's just been it's been very, very, very powerful. And I um I don't know that everybody gets to experience this. And it's like, so, I want to be in that place of thriving so much that I literally this week was like, maybe I should just become a Buddhist nun. I'm not
Um, if your zone of genius is like going into businesses and seeing exactly how they can make like a crap ton more money, I would advise you, obviously, you get to live your life how you want to live, but I'm like, I think you're probably going to be happier feeling like a Buddhist monk while
Yeah.
making 10x for other businesses. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
the place you want to be in. So anyway, obviously I know we can't dive into like the healing portion of like all of this.
Yeah.
And we want to be conscious of time as well. So does that kind of feel complete for you? Like at least like mapping out, okay, like this is about
Yeah.
me making an identity
Absolutely.
shift. Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect.
It was hard for me too because, and like I said, I want to be open, but it's hard to recognize where the exact problem is because I am on a growth
Yeah,
trajectory and trending in the right direction, and the layers are, being unpeeled and all of that. So I
yeah,
appreciate you.
absolutely. No worries at all. I'm glad that finally landed for you and we found a way to kind of articulate it that allowed like all parts of yourselves to actually hear it. So yeah, so why don't you just close this off and let everybody know where to find you, who's the best person to find you. Floor is yours for that.
So you can find me at jennifermaher.com. You can JENNIFERMAHER.com. You can find me on Instagram at Jenn Maher Coach. You can call my cell 914-330-722 or text, and I will get back to you. And I look forward to helping as many people level up to the highest version of themselves so they can live a life that nourishes their soul and have a career that does the same.
Awesome. Well, Jen, thank you very much for allowing yourself to be witnessed in this way. As always, we'll include all that in the show notes. And then for everybody else listening, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.